What's up, losers? Today I'm back with another r/fatlogic bonanza. Checking out a couple of interesting or amusing posts, trying to make sense of them, and having a few laughs along the way. This is episode 92 in the fatlogic series. And I'm well in the mood for some classic fat activist antics. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Calories in, calories out, can be disproved easily, with a simple experiment. Eat 50,000 calories of wood chips every day, and see if you gain weight. The human body isn't a simple furnace.
What? Wood chips? Where do they even get this shit, man? Haha. I can't even. To dignify this wacky post with a response that it probably doesn't deserve. No, eating a bunch of wood chips isn't going to get you fat. If you somehow manage to eat them and keep them down, but that's because you won't be able to digest them, and you won't be able to extract any energy. So the 50,000 calorie number is a wholly useless, idiotic red herring of a point that doesn't disprove calories in, calories out at all. Because nobody is claiming that the body is a fricking furnace. We all understand that food has to be edible and digestible for us to receive energy from it. And we understand that it is this energy that we can actually access that people are referring to when they talk about calories in, calories out, not wood chips or grass or scrap metal or whatever other random material you can come up with. So let's not bother wasting our time with this whole line of argument any further. Okay, great, moving on.
Thinking a lot about the seat you're sitting in, and how uncomfortable you are. Thinking about ways to shrink yourself, so that you can comfortably go to entertainment venues. Feeling ashamed that your body doesn't fit into a space where they say, everyone is welcome. If you are a person living in a fat body, you know all too well the pain of not being able to simply attend a play, a concert, or entertainment venue of any kind. Because when the sides of the chair you're sitting in is digging into you, causing you pain, causing you bruises, causing you extreme discomfort, it makes it very difficult to be present, let alone simply enjoy what's being shared. Systemic fat phobia not only literally excludes fat people from spaces, but it takes up valuable space to be in those spaces.
Okay, so, I hate to be pedantic, but if your complaint is that chairs are too uncomfortable, that might, effectively, exclude certain fat people from attending. But it doesn't, literally, exclude them, because they could technically still go, if they were willing to endure the discomfort. But as I say, this is a minor quibble, as I do accept that if it's really that uncomfortable for you to go to a venue, because you don't fit in the seats, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to subject yourself to that kind of pain and discomfort for a prolonged period of time. And you know what? That's a real shame, and I can empathize with fat people who want to do all of these things, but are prevented from doing so by the size of their bodies. Where I will disagree with this post, however, is in its diagnosis of the problem at hand as systemic fat phobia, rather than widespread morbid obesity. Because as far as I'm concerned, it is much more optimal for society to reduce the number of people who are dangerously overweight, than to allow this number to balloon even more, and even facilitate it, by trying to insulate fat people from all consequences of the diet. Because ultimately, no matter how we might try to accommodate larger bodies with seating and whatnot, the health problems of obesity are not going anywhere, and for people to make a change in their life, alarm bells have to start ringing somewhere. If obesity trends continue, I don't doubt that venues will eventually start to bring in larger seats, because they need to sell tickets one way or another, and despite what I have said up to this point, I am not opposed to them doing this. I am not out to ruin fat people's fun, or keep them from enjoying life's diverse experiences. And if bigger seats will allow them to do that, then good for them. But it is important, I think, that any changes of this nature that might be made not be construed as a progressive triumph over systemic fat phobia, or an endorsement of obese bodies as healthy. Because the reality is that having to upsize seating across society is not a victory. It is a clear sign that we are failing in the fight against obesity. And that is something to be deeply worried about, not something to be cheered on. So while I wish fat people all the happiness in the world, I hope that they do not allow such efforts of accommodation to lull them into a false sense of security. Because if they do, I fear that that happiness will be ill-fated and short-lived indeed.
I have a low socioeconomic status, and all my family is obese. So how am I not fat, according to your science hymn? Fricker, have you ever heard of naturally skinny people? It's because I eat healthy and exercise, unlike you fatties. Please go talk to a fat anorexic person, who does nothing but starve, overexercise, and still stay fat. I can't wait for your worldview to be crushed. Hashtag worthy thoughts. Hashtag fatphobia. Hashtag fatphobes. Hashtag fatphoblogic.
Well, you know what? I would be happy to go and talk to a fat anorexic person who does nothing but starve and overexercise, yet still stays fat. But there's only one problem. Such a person does not exist. So I guess my worldview will be remaining uncrushed, for the time being, at least. Haha. No, but like seriously, the person that this post is referring to just does not exist. If someone who is fat actually starves themselves and exercises a ton, they will lose weight. It is as simple as that. I am, of course, not advocating for such a course of action in any way, because taking such an extreme approach is unhealthy. It's really damaging to a person's mental and emotional well-being. It's unsustainable, and it's not going to lead anywhere good, as far as that person's relationship with food goes. But the idea that there are a bunch of fat people who are living this way, and not losing any weight whatsoever, is just laughable. Anyone who claims such a thing is lying, either to themselves or to you. They've got a bucket of KFC hidden under the table. And I don't know about anyone else, but I have no intention of playing along in their embarrassing charade. And as for the supposedly naturally skinny people of the world, I think that this phenomenon is largely overstated. While there might be variations in the amount a person can eat without becoming fat, that depend on their height and overall size, level of activity, and, to a lesser extent, other genetic factors. In general, people who eat a lot and don't exercise much are fat, and people who don't eat so much and/or exercise a lot are thin. There can often be a level of confusion between these groups, based on the tendency of some fat people to underreport their food intake, and the tendency of some thin people to overestimate theirs. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty of what is actually going in and coming out, differences in weight are usually not all that difficult to account for. So insofar as there really are naturally thin and naturally fat people, I think this is mainly a case of some people having a bigger appetite and generally enjoying food more than others. And while this might make it more difficult for those in the former category to become or stay thin, it certainly does not preclude this possibility, nor does it suggest that their weight will remain fixed despite heavy calorie restriction. It just means that they will have to work a little harder and show a little more discipline to achieve the same results as their peers, neither of which is likely to be aided by a refusal to accept the reality of the situation, or a determination to come up with lame excuses like this post is. Haha. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the posts and my commentary. What do you think? Do wood chips disprove calories in, calories out? Are chairs that fit tightly around obese bodies Systemic fat phobia. Are people just naturally fat or naturally skinny, with no control over their own weight whatsoever? Let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll make you eat a bowl of wood chips for breakfast. Without any milk. Just kidding, haha. Anyway, catch you later.